America is sitting on a ticking time bomb. Right now, your share of the national debt is $109,000. Not your parents' debt, not your kids' debt, your debt. Today we're going to expose exactly how Washington ran up a $36 trillion credit card bill, and why almost nobody in power wants you to know the truth. Let's start with something that should make every American furious. $36 trillion. That's not a number most people can even comprehend. To put it in perspective, if you spent $1 million every single day, it would take you over 98,000 years to spend $36 trillion. And yet Washington has racked up every dollar of that debt in just a few decades. When Ronald Reagan left office in 1989, the national debt was $2.9 trillion. When Bill Clinton left, it was $5.7 trillion. George W. Bush handed Barack Obama a debt of $10.6 trillion. Obama doubled it, leaving office with a debt of nearly $20 trillion. And then under the Biden administration, the debt exploded, adding over $7 trillion in just 4 years. Here's the part they never tell you on the evening news. The interest alone on this debt is now over $1 trillion per year. Let that sink in. Every single year, over $1 trillion of your tax dollars goes straight to paying interest to bondholders in China, Japan, and Wall Street. That's more than we spend on Medicare, more than we spend on the entire United States military, and yet Washington keeps spending. Year after year, budget after budget, the number goes up. The debt ceiling gets raised, the money printer keeps running, and the politicians who created this crisis get reelected, because most Americans have no idea how bad it's gotten. So how did this happen? Who is responsible? The dirty secret is that both parties share the blame, but one party has supercharged the spending in recent years. The Obama administration pushed through an $800 billion stimulus package in 2009, claiming it would save the economy. It added nearly $9 trillion to the national debt over 8 years. Then came the Biden administration, which didn't just spend money. They created entirely new spending programs and called them something else. The so-called Inflation Reduction Act, which economists calculated would actually increase inflation, cost over $700 billion. The CHIPS Act added another $280 billion. The American Rescue Plan, $1.9 trillion. That's nearly $3 trillion in just 3 pieces of legislation, all passed while ordinary Americans were struggling with rising prices. And while average Americans were watching their grocery bills explode and their mortgage payments skyrocket, what was Congress doing? They were voting themselves pay raises, building their donors' fortunes, stuffing legislative bills with earmarks for lobbyists and special interests who gave them campaign money. Here's what the Congressional Budget Office is projecting. If we stay on this trajectory, the national debt will hit $54 trillion by 2034, 10 years from now. That is not a partisan talking point. That is the government's own math. You might think, well, the debt is someone else's problem. My life is fine. But the national debt affects you every single day in a way the mainstream media almost never discusses. When the government needs to borrow money, it sells bonds. To attract buyers for those bonds, it has to offer higher interest rates. And when government interest rates go up, every other interest rate goes up with them. Your mortgage, your car loan, your credit card rate, every single one goes up. That's a major reason why mortgage rates went from 3% to over 7% in just 2 years. That's why credit card interest rates are now averaging over 22%. The government's debt habit is stealing money out of your wallet, not through direct taxes, but through interest rates and inflation. The Federal Reserve printed approximately $5 trillion to fund COVID spending programs. All that new money didn't create new wealth. It diluted your savings. Every dollar you had saved became worth less. That's the hidden tax, inflation, that nobody in Washington wants to admit they caused. Since 2020, everyday Americans have lost over 20% of their purchasing power. Groceries are up, gas is up, rent is up, and Washington is still spending. Now here's the question they really don't want you asking. While you're paying more for gas, groceries, and rent, who is actually benefiting from all this government spending? The answer: Washington insiders, defense contractors, and the permanent bureaucracy, what many Americans now call the deep state. Companies with political connections to the Biden administration received billions in no-bid government contracts. The green energy boondoggle funneled hundreds of billions to politically connected companies, many of which have since gone bankrupt or produced almost nothing of value. Solyndra was just the beginning. Meanwhile, Federal bureaucrats, career government employees who cannot be fired, who work for agencies the Constitution never authorized, they continue getting their cost of living raises, their gold-plated government pensions, and their taxpayer-funded benefits, regardless of whether the economy is up or down, regardless of whether their agency accomplishes anything at all. The Washington swamp doesn't care about the national debt. They'd benefit from it. More government spending means more power, more jobs for their friends, more contracts for their donors, and more control over your life. The debt is the swamp's business model. Countries don't run $36 trillion deficits forever. History is very clear on what happens when governments lose control of their debt. Argentina has defaulted on its national debt 8 times. Greece had to be bailed out by all of Europe. Venezuela's currency became worthless practically overnight. These weren't poor, undeveloped nations. Argentina was once one of the wealthiest countries on earth. When debt spirals out of control, governments historically have only 3 options: massive tax increases that crush the middle class, printing money until inflation destroys everyone's savings, or outright default, telling bondholders they won't be paid. None of those options are good for ordinary Americans. But there is a 4th option, the America First option. Cut the spending, eliminate the waste and fraud, end the foreign aid that does nothing for Americans, stop sending money to countries that hate us, bring manufacturing back to American soil, audit the Federal Reserve, and put America's financial house in order before it is too late. Every generation of Americans has faced a defining challenge. Our grandparents defeated fascism in World War II. Our parents won the Cold War. Our challenge right now is the financial time bomb that Washington has been building for decades, and the media that refuses to cover it honestly. That's exactly why America First Daily exists. We are here to give you the truth, the facts, and the analysis that the mainstream media won't touch. We name the people, we cite the numbers, we follow the money, so you don't have to. If you want to stay informed on the stories that actually matter, the ones that affect your wallet, your family, and your freedom, then hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update, and share this video with every American who deserves to know the truth. Because the fight for America's future starts with the facts, and the facts are what we deliver every single day. This is America First Daily. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and God bless America.